Here is how the sources redefine four key theological terms, contrasting modern misconceptions with the eternal, covenantal truth. First, the redefinition of grace. In the modern era, grace is often falsely interpreted as a suspension of God's rule. The Hebraic lens corrects this, showing grace as a power that restores us to our covenant duty. Grace does not cancel the law. Grace empowers obedience to the law. Grace is married to Torah. Grace does not mean unmerited favor requiring no change. Grace is covenant favor shown to the one who returns to obedience. Grace is not a feeling, not a standard. Grace is the divine power that trains the believer to deny lawlessness and live righteously. Grace does not remove discipline. Grace is discipline and instruction that forms character through correction. Conclusion: grace is not permission for disobedience. It is the authoritative training that restores the repentant back into a state of Torah obedience. Second, the redefinition of salvation. Salvation is redefined as a deliverance not from the law of God, but to the life of obedience and holiness prescribed by the law. Salvation is not a one-time event detached from covenant life. Salvation is restoration to Torah. It is a covenant relationship producing obedience. Salvation does not remove the need for God's law. Salvation is deliverance from lawlessness and restoration to the covenant path. Redemption is not merely a legal transaction. Redemption is a covenant rescue that liberates us from slavery to sin, so we may obey YHWH. Salvation is not passive. Salvation actively trains the people of God. Conclusion: Messiah Yeshua gave himself to redeem us from lawlessness, Torah violation, and to purify a people zealous of good works, Torah deeds. Salvation is the divine power that produces obedience. Third, the redefinition of faith and righteousness. Faith is redefined from mere intellectual acceptance to steadfast covenant loyalty that must be demonstrated through conduct. Righteousness is likewise redefined from a legal status to active obedience. Faith is not mental assent. Faith is covenant fidelity, steadfast trustworthiness that results in observable obedience. Works are the fruit and proof of faith. Righteousness is not an invisible legal status. Righteousness is according to YHWH's revealed standard, Torah. The law itself is righteousness. Godliness is not vague spirituality or religious feeling. Godliness is covenant faithfulness expressed through reverent obedience. Conclusion: faith does not overthrow the law. It establishes the law, as Romans 3:31 states. True faith is active and is completed by righteous works, fulfilling the mandate of the Torah. Fourth, the redefinition of purity and holiness. The sources provide a powerful linguistic and theological subversion of purity terminology, especially regarding the status of the Gentile believer. Purity is the Hebraic understanding of that which is clean and fit for God's presence. Purity is redefined not as external ritual, but as moral integrity centered in the heart, making the believer a living temple. Lawlessness and ungodliness are defined not as minor imperfection, but as open covenant rebellion, the lifestyle of disregarding Torah. Sin is explicitly defined as Torah violation. There is a brilliant reversal of the word common. In Second Temple Judaism, common meant profane or unclean, used to exclude Gentiles. Paul uses this same word in Titus 1:4 to describe the common faith. What was once used as an insult to exclude, common equals impure, is now reclaimed as the badge of holy inclusion. Common equals shared holiness. The message is clear. The dividing wall of hostility, the man-made rules of exclusion, not God's law itself, has been abolished, and holiness is now shared by all in Messiah. The fundamental redefinition across all these terms is that covenant loyalty, obedience to Torah, is the necessary expression of saving grace and faith. They are not separate systems, but two sides of the same divine reality. For more Torah-based teaching resources and curriculum, visit biologosacademy.com. Making the Kingdom Great Again. Matthew 5:19. This is Mr. Jim Barber, also known as Mr. Batman, founder of BioLogos Academy.